gossip and entertainment only. Let's get started.
Hi everyone, Sharona here. So the Diddy trial has wrapped basically. So it just needs to go to the jury for them to deliberate. They said it might be on Monday, but Diddy is attorneys, the defense. They did not call any witnesses and Diddy did not want to testify. Now, I don't do a daily read on the Diddy trial, right? There's a lot more people doing it, CNNs and bloggers and everything like that. But I do come and, record or report to you some of the important stuff that happens in the Diddy trial. Now, with the trial being over in the sense that there's no more prosecution testimony with clients or witnesses, and with the defense, like we said, they did not call anyone, and Diddy himself did not want to testify. So we're going to read this article from USA Today, and let me tell you, it's a lengthy read. So if you were like me or anything, sit back, relax, and listen. If you're doing your home, cleaning your home or anything like that, listen. Put on a hot cup of tea. Put on a hot cup of tea. No, put on some hot water to make a hot cup of tea. If you have something to snack on, or if you're working on paperwork, shredding, cleaning the yard, anything that you're doing, just turn up your device, whatever you're listening on, and listen away or watch, do whatever you want to do. But like I said, this is a lengthy read just to wrap up on Diddy trial ending, where there's no more witnesses on the stand. Prosecutors are done. The defense called no one, and basically the jurors now, they're going to go deliberate, and this will be, I think they said Monday, that's when they'll start. Now I'm going to read some of the charges against Diddy. They were dropped. The prosecutors asked for it to be dropped, and I hear people saying it's because they don't want to confuse the jury on what is what. But we're gonna read about it. But yes, they dropped some of the charges. So this is from USA Today, and this is Diddy Live Updates. Prosecutors drop some kidnapping, arson, sex trafficking claims. I think the arson has to do with Kid Cudi. Because even though Diddy said, he would blow up Kid Cudi's car, and it did happen, right now they're like, we're not quite sure if Diddy really do it. Because they were saying like they found female prints or something to that effect. So let's get reading. And they also warn people that this contains graphic descriptions that some readers may find disturbing. So it says, Sean Diddy Combs' legal fate hangs in the balance as the music mogul's landmark criminal trial nears a close. On Wednesday, June 25th, prosecutors, defense attorneys, and the judge met during a charge conference to determine instruction for jurors before they begin deliberating either at the end of the week or beginning June 30th. U.S. attorneys indicated they would streamline instruction for jury deliberation by dropping some of their racketeering theories related to attempted arson and kidnapping. The back and forth arrived the day after prosecutors rested their case on June 24th. Over the course of nearly 7 weeks, several individuals in Combs' personal and professional orbit, from ex-girlfriends Cassie Ventura Fine and Jane to Danity Kane alum Dawn Richards and rap peer Kid Cudi, testified during Combs' trial. In total, prosecutors called forward more than 30 witnesses. So the prosecutors did 30 witnesses, and Diddy defense, none. As testimony came to an end, attorneys for the U.S. government zeroed in on graphic evidence from Combs' alleged Freakoff parties, which included video footage, text messages, and financial records. Prosecutors painted a picture of Combs and his employees being personally involved with organizing the elaborate sexual performances, working with escorts, Combs' partners, and others. Meanwhile, Combs' attorneys rested their case in less than half an hour, with the defense opting not to call any witnesses to the stand. Their arguments mainly focused on romantic and occasionally explicit texts between Combs and Ventura Fine. So I wonder if they're doing that because they want to show that she's complicit. Even though she might have bad experiences, for the most part, she wanted to be involved. Although Combs' alleged abuse is at the center of the trial, the Grammy-winning rapper told the court he would not be testifying. Judge Aaron Sabarian asked Combs' lawyer, Mark Agnello, if he spoke with his client about his rights to testify, and Agnello said they discussed it at length. Can you just imagine if Diddy went up on there? How the prosecutors, they would eat Diddy alive, especially when it comes to it, questioning him about sex and abuse and stuff like that. They would want that out there because they know that's what people want to hear. Anyways, Combs, 55, was arrested in September and charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He has pleaded not guilty. So this is judge allows Diddy defense extra night before giving its closing argument. As the June hearing over jury instructions came to a close at 7:30 p.m., Judge Aaron Sabarian granted a request from Combs' team to wait until Friday morning, June 27th, to begin its closing argument. Prosecutor Maureen Comey said the defense should have to start Thursday afternoon, June 26th, after the prosecution's closing argument. She expressed concern that delaying it would waste the jurors' time and that the defense was engaging in gamemanship in order to sit with the prosecution's closing argument overnight and map out its response. So the prosecutors, they're doing their closing arguments, it sounds like tomorrow, and they wanted the defense to go right after them, but now the defense is asking to go on Friday. So the prosecutors are saying, no, we don't want them to hear our what you call that, closing argument. Have mercy. Yeah, so the prosecutor is saying we don't want them to hear our closing argument, and then they have the entire night to think of how they're gonna do theirs, in regards to what they hear from us. No, let us do it and let them do it. Don't give them a time to pick apart and like, okay, well, they say this, let's come back with this, if you know what I'm saying. So instead of me saying the judge's name, because I think I'm gonna mess it up every time, Sabarian, I'm just gonna say the judge. However, the judge said he thought the arrangement would be fine, given that the defense is no longer expressing a concern about pushing the case beyond the July 4th holiday. So that was also a factor, that they wanted to make sure this case was over before the 4th of July. Because, people, they go out, they're going to have time with their family and friends. And I don't think the judge want people over the holiday season, talking up a storm with people when, of course, they know they're not supposed to, but, they be having fun. You don't want a juror out there drinking this and that, and then they start giving stories. So they wanted it done before the 4th of July, and it looks like it's going to happen. So it says, prosecution told jury sex trafficking can happen without completed commercial sex act. So into the evening on June 25th, Lawyers for Combs and the prosecution continue to make their cases to the judge on how he should instruct the jury about the charges the music mogul faces. Prosecutor Smercer said it's important for jurors to understand that sex trafficking may sometimes have occurred without a completed commercial sex act. She gave the example of when Combs was seen on hotel security camera footage throwing Ventura Fine to the ground near an elevator and then dragging her. Ventura Fine testified this took place during a freak-off after Combs hit her and she attempted to leave. Simser said the prosecution may argue in its closing cases that the alleged incident demonstrated sex trafficking even if a commercial sex act didn't happen. So basically what that sounds like is like the defense is saying no. What Cassie was doing, that wasn't a freak off. They were consensually having sex even though someone else was in the room, right? And so you can't call that sex trafficking because she was willfully doing it. They were partying together, and if there's someone else, it's like just saying you're having a threesome or something to that effect, if you get what I'm saying. So Combs' lawyer, Alexandra Shapiro, argued that Combs would be severely prejudiced by that instruction, even if it's consistent with existing law, because the prosecution has repeatedly tried its case against Combs as if a commercial sex act is required. Smizer replied that Combs' defense team has been on notice since the beginning of the case that some commercial sex acts may not have been completed. Every time you hear the word commercial, it sounds like paid, right? The judge said he was leaning towards the prosecution on the issue, but would consider the matter further. Now we have prosecutors drop some kidnapping, arson, and sex trafficking claims to streamline. In a June 24th court filing obtained by USA Today, prosecutors indicated they are dropping some of their claims against Combs' alleged criminal acts ahead of June 26 closing arguments. The details were included in U.S. Attorney's letter to a judge about jury instructions for deliberation. Specifically, they no longer want jurors to consider allegations that Combs engaged in criminal racketeering by attempting kidnapping in California and New York and attempted arson in California, both of which were related to an alleged break-in at Kid Cudi's house and explosion in his car. They are similarly dropping a claim that Combs aided and abetted sex trafficking. That doesn't necessarily mean Combs is in the clear on all related allegations. The indictment has faces accused the indictment he faces, accused him not just of attempting arson and kidnapping, but also of committing arson and kidnapping outright as part of a criminal conspiracy. Combs also still faces multiple charges related to sex trafficking. Prosecutors said they were dropping the charges in light of the judge's desire to streamline the instruction he will give to the jurors after closing arrangement. What's going on in the Diddy trial today? The judge, in holding what's known as a charging conference with prosecutors and Combs' lawyers, that's where both sides discuss and debate the instruction that will be given to the jury. So that is called a charging conference. So as they said, the prosecution and Diddy lawyer, they will go in front of the judge and basically, debate on what instructions to give to the juror. I guess to make it easier for them, because it was a lot. It was a lot. Combs has seemed interested at times as lawyers have poured through the instruction page by page, nodding as his attorneys have called the technical changes or addition. So when they're going through page by page, it's like the prosecutor might say, "No, I don't want this," or "This should stay," or the defense was like, "No, they can't have this. Let's substitute this for this." So back and forth, because we're talking about maybe a life sentence here for Diddy, and I don't think they would give him a life sentence if they did charge him, but who knows, you know? So right here it says, "What is Diddy's net worth? Still wealthy, but now worth almost half as much, according to Forbes." So Diddy is still rich. He's still a millionaire compared to us folk. He's still a millionaire. Diddy can survive. In 2024, Forbes magazine estimated Combs' net worth at $400 million, a significant drop from its 2019 figure of $740 million. Both Combs and his team later claimed he was a billionaire, Forbes said, despite offering no documentation to back up the claim. Probably was a billionaire with whatever ventures he had outside of what else he was doing. And again, this is for public view, right? They hype up all these things, making the public think that they're wealthier than thou when they're not. And I mean, 400 million? Come on now. But it's all about ego and bragging and who has more this, that, whatever. Okay, so according to publicly available documents and news report, okay, let's listen to this now. Combs' most valuable personal possession is likely a 17,000 square foot 10-bedroom mansion appraised at more than $61 million in the Tony Homby Hills section of Los Angeles. It was rated as part of the criminal probe and listed for sale last September. So this is a 10-bedroom mansion. I can only imagine how many garage, how many bathrooms. I'm sure it had a pool, a basketball court, a movie theater, a wine cellar, a guest room outside, not guest room, I guess a little guest hut or a little guest building by itself outside. So, Puffy will be okay. When he gets out of jail, if he gets out of jail, Puffy will be just fine. Is Diddy in jail? Is in custody, expired at bail. Okay, so we already know that he was in there, and I think he requested bail 2 or 3 times, and they were all denied. So he's been in jail since his arrest on September 16th of 2024. So Diddy has been in there, September, October, so about 9 months. Damn. October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. So about 9 months. Damn. Okay, yes, so it says, why didn't Diddy lawyers call any witnesses? Now, so let's get into this. Prosecutors spend weeks calling dozens of witnesses in their arguments against Combs. The jury heard from his former girlfriends and business associates, federal agents, security officers, and others. But his lawyers wrapped up their case in less than 30 minutes without calling anyone to the stand. Why? Let's see why. We'll find out as I'm finding out. One factor to note: defendants in criminal cases aren't required to present. Let's read that again. Defendants in criminal cases aren't required to present evidence, and judges instruct jurors not to hold that against defendants. To win a guilty verdict, prosecutors have to prove their cases beyond a reasonable doubt. Oh, so the defense is saying there is doubt there. So, okay. Why, what you call it? Not why, not, I wouldn't say why mess with something when it's not broken, but they're saying, guess what? There are doubts there, so we don't even have to say anything because if the jurors they go through the different testimonies and situations like that, they themselves would see that there might be reasonable doubt in some of the stories, just like the one with Diddy and the girl said he hanged her over the balcony on a certain date, but Diddy was not in town when she said that incident happened. So, there's doubt there. Let's continue with the reading. Combs' lawyers haven't explained why they didn't call any witnesses. Oh, they haven't. But they may think prosecutors haven't cleared that bar, or they don't want to risk calling a witness who could sway the jury against their client. Call a witness that would sway the jury, but if you call a witness on his behalf, they should be swaying the jury to find him not guilty. So that I don't get. If you get that, somebody explain that to me. Right here they have do we need to talk about these baby oils? Let's see what it says here. It says baby oil. What's Cialis? Diddy demands laundry list of supplies for Freakoff. So I guess they're going to tell everything that he's demanding here. As prosecutors wrapped up their argument, jurors saw and heard messages from Combs demanding supplies for an alleged Freakoff. There's no more baby oil, Combs said in one audio message to his chief of staff, Christina K.K. Cameron, chuckling. I can't believe I'm out of baby oil. He thought he had 20 bottles at the time. In a separate message to KK, Combs said he needed 5 more bottles of everything. Later, his team responded that they were bringing him baby oil, lubricant from the brand Astroglide, his Apple TV, and multiple lats. Combs continued to send auto messages, one asking for vegetable soup and another in which he said, can security bring me some money? I need $5,000. Damn. In another message, he asked for a Cialis? Please, joking, see? I'm going to keep on calling you to make sure you have everything I need. Cialis is a prescription medication used to treat erectile dysfunction. Oh, suki now. Right here it says, Diddy says he doesn't want to testify during trial. The rapper verbally confirmed on June 24th he did not want to take the stand, one of the only times Combs spoke out loud during his weeks-long trial. Combs exchanged a few remarks with the judge, saying he was doing great and that he thought the judge was managing the trial well. He said it was solely my decision not to testify, and he thoroughly discussed it with his legal team. Oh my gosh, and they have some pictures. I got to show you pictures. As it says, as the Diddy trial reached a verdict. No, a verdict has not been reached in Combs' trial case. Following presentations from prosecution and Combs' attorney, which wrapped June 24th, the trial will now enter closing arguments before the jury is sent into deliberations. Closing arguments are expected to begin Thursday, June 26th, and stretch into the following day. Defense attorney Tenny Garagos said both prosecutors and defense lawyers estimate their argument will last 4 hours each. Regarding jury deliberation, a meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, June 25th, in which prosecutors and Combs' attorney will talk about jury instructions with the judge. jurors won't be present for the discussion. Diddy's eerie favorite TV shows revealed by his ex-girlfriend. Combs' ex-girlfriend, who testified under the pseudonym Jane, revealed on June 10th the eerie TV show Combs reportedly counts as his favorite. What the hell is this? Let me hear what this is. Under cross-examination, James said she endured nights in the hotels with escorts because she wanted to spend time with Combs, bathing him, rubbing his feet, cuddling with him, and watching the NBC true crime series Dateline until he fell asleep. Oh, so he loves Dateline. A centerpiece of Dateline programming is highlighting injustices and crimes perpetrated by men against women. Whoa. Former Diddy aide Mia says rapper assaulted Cassie at Brad Pitt movie premiere? What the freak? Former Combs assistant, a woman who went by the pseudonym Mia, testified on June 2nd that she witnessed a 2012 discussion between Combs and Ventura Fine escalate into physical violence at the premiere of Brad Pitt's film Killing Them Softly, which took place at the Cannes Film Festival in France. She claimed she saw Combs grit his teeth while digging his nails into Ventura Fine's arm, and eventually insisted that Ventura Fine leave, which she did. Diddy's ex-assistant talks 50 Cent feud. Capricorn Clark, another former assistant of Combs who took the stand, recalled an incident concerning the rapper's longtime feud with fellow MC 50 Cent. On May 27, Clark testified she was accompanying Combs to an MTV office to speak to reporters when she overheard him tell his security guard that he didn't like the nonsense in his work, but he did like guns. Clark noted the 50 Cent was at the MTV offices that day and he had an issue with the rapper. So he was telling the security guard he didn't like nonsense in his work, but he did like GUN. Combs and Fiddy, oh, I keep saying 50 Cent. Well, they have it down as 50 Cent, so I'm going to read it that way and not Fiddy. Combs and 50 Cent's rivalry dated back nearly 20 years. The get-rich-or-die-trying rapper born Curtis Jackson is producing a docuseries to premiere on Netflix about the allegations against Combs. Lord have mercy. So, but that was, it was 20 years, but yeah, lately, when you read stuff and you see, they don't even give the full explanation. I think it had something to do with what's his name, Biggie Smalls, if I'm correct. But just to say that and then don't go into details. Anyways, let's see. Britney Spears, Michael B. Jordan, Rihanna, Diddy trial filled with celebrity name drops. Yeah, name drops. Right now, the biggest person there was, I think, Kid Cudi. And, besides Cassie herself. But, yeah, no one else was, big was there. Although Ventura Fine and Kid Cudi, you notice they're calling her Ventura Fine? Oh, shoot. Her name is Cassie Ventura, so it's like Ventura-Fine. Anyways, although Ventura Fine and Kid Cudi have arguably been the biggest names to testify at the Combs trial, several Hollywood A-listers were name-dropped throughout the rapper's high-profile case. Some of the stars included pop singers Britney Spears, Rihanna, Beyonce, and R&B songwriter Usher, music executive Jimmy Iovine, and actor Michael B. Jordan. During her May 15th testimony, Ventura Fine said Combs suspected that she was in a relationship with Jordan after the pair broke up in 2015. That's Michael B. Jordan, the actor. alleging the rapper attempted to get in contact with her afterwards. Former Diddy aide Capricorn Clark alleges physical violence, Kid Cudi break-in. In an emotional testimony, Clark alleged a hip-hop model kidnapped her and threatened to kill her multiple times while she worked for him. While on the stand on May 27th, Clark claimed she was once held against her will for 5 days after several pieces of jewelry went missing at the rapper's house. She said she was petrified and forced to take polygraph tests over and over again. She also described an alleged break-in carried out by Combs, during which he rushed to Kid Cudi's Los Angeles home with a gun after he learned the fellow rapper born Scott Miss Cudi was dating Combs' ex-girlfriend Ventura Fine. Why was baby oil found at Diddy's home? So basically, it's like they're just giving a breakdown of the entire case without giving every single thing. I guess they're thinking these are the most important things. So it says, why was baby oil found at Diddy's home? During a September 2024 press conference, U.S. Attorney Damian Williams detailed the paraphernalias discovered during the federal raid of Combs' homes. The items included multiple AR-15 gun, large capacity magazines, evidence of Combs' alleged sex crimes, and over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. People had fun with those. According to Combs' original indictment, the baby oils were used during the hip-hop mogul's alleged Freakoff parties, which were described as elaborate and produced sex performers that included sex workers. So, prostitute. Combs and his employees conducted freak-offs by booking hotel rooms and stocking them with supplies such as baby oil, lube, extra bed sheets, and lighting, per the indictment. The rapper allegedly arranged, direct, and masturbated during these sometimes days-long performances, and drugs were reportedly distributed to victims in part to keep them obedient and compliant. What is Diddy charged with? Combs is facing federal sex crimes and racketeering charges in a sprawling case that has eroded his status as a power player and kingmaker in the entertainment industry. He was arrested in September 2024 and later charged with racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. The rapper has also pleaded not guilty to the 5 counts against him. What is RICO, racketeering, meaning? Racketeering is the participation in an illegal scheme under the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Statute, or RICO, as a way for the U.S. government to prosecute organizations that contribute to criminal activities. Using RICO law, which is typically aimed at targeting multi-person criminal organizations, prosecutors allege that Combs coerced victims, some of whom they say were sex workers, through intimidation and narcotics to participate in freak-offs, sometimes days-long sex performance that federal prosecutors allege they have on videos. And I heard that there was a day in court, I think last week, where the jurors, they were able to see some of the freak-offs, and, some of the people's reaction was, wow. How to stream the Diddy trial. The trial will not be televised as cameras are not typically allowed in federal criminal trial proceedings. They would have made a lot. They would have made a lot of money if that was given as a factor. And guess what? They could have charged people because people would have paid to watch it. So it says USA Today will be reporting live from the courtroom. So basically, yes, that sounds like a rundown of what? how many weeks? It was March. It was May 5th. We're on June 25th. So we're looking at a month and 2 weeks, so like 6 weeks. And they said that this was supposed to take 8 weeks, but they want it done before the 4th of July. So it sounds like basically everything that I read to you is what is most important. Now, for the prosecutors, they had what, over 30 witnesses testified, and the defense had none. Why? Because they think there might be, what's the word that they used? Let me see if I can find that word. Hold on, everyone. As you can see, it was a lot that I was reading. So to try and find that word. And it's one of those things where the words are on the tip of your tongue, but it's like you can't just come out and say it. Hold on. But yeah, while I'm looking for it, so what are your thoughts so far? Do you see Diddy, serving life, or if not life, how much do you think they might give to Diddy? I mean, and I always say, these people, they're given the opportunity to succeed and do well, but once you start doing something and then it gets to your head that you're the greatest out there, everyone wants a piece of you, you kind of lost, respect, or lost to the fact that, in reality, they build you up, but they can take you down. So what I was looking for was reasonable doubt. So the defense did not go because they're saying that the prosecutors, they didn't deliver, basically. They don't think they proved anything where Diddy might be charged, because there's definitely reasonable doubt. With different situations of people giving timeline, everything like that, and not, when they look into it, either Diddy wasn't there or it wasn't Diddy, it was someone else. They got the date mixed up, the time was wrong. No, Diddy was not with this person at that location. Just stuff like that. But yeah, we're coming up to the end. It's basically done. Closing arguments start tomorrow. And what do you think of the prosecutors saying no? When we're done, the defense also needs to go on that day, because it's giving them time to go pick apart what they've said to come back with, fresh, basically. So, gossipers, what are your thoughts on this story? I think I read everything where they think were the main points. And a lot of people, we were still waiting for kids, because some of the allegations that he was having sex with underage kids, and also nothing about Diddy's sexuality. No sex with men, nothing like that. All these accusations are said about Diddy, that he's gay and he with children, everything like that. But none of that came up in the trial. No witnesses confirmed anything to that effect. So, like, my mom wants him off. She wants him off because she's like, how dumb are you to fall for Diddy, for his shenanigans? Not knowing that, a lot of these people, they've probably never seen that much money before, and to hold on to a job, and, they're working with somebody famous, so that might give them some kind of leadway to get to stuff and experience stuff. They're willing to put up with, just foolishness. But yes, gossipers, that's it for tonight. The rundown of Diddy. Please like, share, subscribe. Thank you for watching, listening. Let's continue to grow our channel. And as always, thank you for watching and listening. Have a good night, good morning, good day. Thank you, gossipers.